Earlier this month, a comedian named Paul Mooney passed away on May 19th. Mr. Mooney basically had a long history of controversial comedy that usually kind of revolved around making disparaging comments about white people, the comments that are supposedly not racist.
I, I can't be racist by definition. Look that up. Look that up in the white folks dictionary. How can I be racist?
Well, I couldn't find the white folks dictionary, so I guess we're going to have to settle for the real dictionary. But let's go ahead and get into this again. Racism. A belief that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Also, behavior or attitudes that reflect and foster this belief, racial discrimination or prejudice. Now, this is interesting because a lot of the people who say that black people can't be racist do say that black people can be prejudiced, but the definition of racism makes it clear that being racially prejudiced is still racism. The systemic oppression of a racial group to the social, economic, and political advantage of another, a political or social system founded on racism and designed to execute its principles. So that's the actual definition in the dictionary that he suggested that we look it up in. But let's see, because he elaborates a little bit on his own criteria for racism.
I've never told anyone where to live. I've never told anyone what kind of jobs to have. I've never kept anyone from going to a school, out of a restaurant, or drinking from a fountain. I've never lynched anybody. So how can I be racist? How can I be racist? By definition, I can't be racist.
All right, so let's go down this checklist that Mr. Mooney put together to ensure that even I myself could not possibly be racist, because I've never told anyone where they can live, check, what kind of job they can have, check, nor have I ever prevented anybody from going to a school, check, going to a restaurant, check, using a drinking fountain, check, and I've never lynched anybody. Therefore, I cannot be racist.
I think what's happening is...
How can the slave be the master? That doesn't even make sense. I mean, that's someone that's telling you this or making that statement, whether they're black or white, they have to be totally insane. I can't be, by definition. Look up the definition of racism.
Well, let's go back to it. Because before I wasn't sure, but now that I've read his checklist, I know for sure. Actually, I think what he was probably getting at was to suggest that he can't be racist because he doesn't have the power to do any of those things. But once again, we're going back to what he said. Look up the definition of racism, and here we have it. Not only is his criteria not in here, the suggestion that people have to have the power to do any of those things to be racist is also not in here, because that's not the definition of racism. Thanks for listening.